Welcome to Nerdy Gaming with Rabbit Beaver. I'm your host, the elusive Rabbit Beaver. And today, guys, we're going to be talking about Xbox and some stuff that's happened here recently with Xbox, specifically for Microsoft, stuff that's kind of made them go a little bit downhill and some problems that persist. Now, the other day, if you didn't catch my last video on Microsoft and the stuff that was going on with their subscription-based packaging for their Games Pass games and stuff, you can catch that directly on twitch.tv/RabbitBeaver, facebook.com /Joseph DH, if it will pop up for me. It's having some trouble here. And YouTube at Nerdy Gaming with Rabbit Beaver 132. You can catch it at all three of these places where you can go back and rewatch all those videos and catch what I said about that. So we will reiterate some of that stuff, but let's start off with the new allegations that we're hearing all across the community that Xbox and Microsoft is going to be jumping completely out of the console business. That is not true. They actually have scheduled twice for the fall of 2027 to release a new console. They've been talking about it for about the past year constantly, that their new console should be coming out July 2027. And we're not talking about the handheld console, but we'll get into those allegations just in a few minutes as well. So in the fall of 2027, they're scheduled a whole new system to come out for Xbox and Microsoft directly. So you've got to put those to bed. You got to think, yeah, they made some bad decisions. There's not really a whole lot of innovation. There's not really a whole lot of let's say leadership ability that's being moved forward in the Xbox brand right now, especially after a lot of stuff that's happened. I mean, they're getting whipped currently, and I'll show you in the market share. So they hold 30% of the market, and they're trailing PlayStation 5 70% as of 2025, with 33 million Xbox Series S and X units being sold and 74 million PlayStation 5 units being sold by March of 2025, and that was in March. So they're still behind staggeringly as they're being outperformed by PlayStation 5 with 70% of the market in PlayStation 5, 30% in Xbox. PlayStation has, like I said, sold 74 billion units, 33 million units for the X and S. So this console generation has kind of been a flop for them on so many levels, but I think that it started with Games Pass, and we're going to kind of get into that as well. But let's just go back to the beginning with it, guys. So it started kind of with Games Pass. When they initially, if you guys remember, if you guys carried over from the original Xbox and the Xbox 360 had games with gold and gold tier, and then just essential tier is what they had. You get silver, Xbox Silver, or essential is what they're calling it now. And a gold is what you had. Those were the two options. You got 2 free games a month and you went forward. And that was kind of the viable option. PlayStation offered PlayStation Plus, during that time period on the PlayStation 3, and kind of caught back up with them by offering the 2 free games from PlayStation Direct, getting their consumer base and getting their fan base directed back into it. And Xbox really had something in that era with the Xbox and Xbox 360. They had something good. And I don't really want to say it's greed, because you do get a lot of bang for your buck with Games Pass, but I think that making it a tier subscription was wrong. I think that having it go from where your gold pass gets you the online play that you deserved, and it got you everything else with your games and your avatars and all that fun stuff that you could get discounts on all your other games and different things. I think that was the mistake that they made moving forward, going into the new tier system, doing essential. Well, let's see what they're calling it now, because they've changed the names on it, and I don't want to address you guys wrongly here. So, I believe the tiers, pardon me, I believe the tiers are essential. Let's see what it is. I believe they moved it to essential was the first one inside the tier. It's essential something, premier and ultimate is how they've named it. But I think that that's really the downfall, is they put it in a subscription base. And they've had a lot of backfire over this. A lot of people have canceled because Essential just gets you online play, the 50 plus games for the PC, the supported device. You're streaming. You could stream your games, including the games you already own. The online console multiplayer, of course, and the $25 a year in store rewards with benefits in League of Legends, Call of Duty, Warzone, all that. We already went over that the other day. The premium was $14.99 is where they moved premium to, which was essentially silver and gold is how they've moved it. You had silver, then you had gold. And then now they've got Ultimate, which is $29.99. It gives you the 500 games, the new games on day one releases, which include EA, Ubisoft Classics, Fortnite, which will be coming in November, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken on that front. And then, of course, they're not going to be doing Call of Duty, but the online console multiplayer is still there. The benefit, and what I mean by that is, it's not going to be going day one, and it's not going to be under the Ultimate subscription. You do have to pay for your Call of Duty, and it's in terms of service down here under the cloud gaming, and also under Fortnite crew benefits and Xbox eligibility, game titles, numbers, features, availability over time on Xbox platforms through the catalog, and you can check all that stuff out. Now, it says that under the promotional offer section, it says it excludes Call of Duty titles. So I think that that's another mistake that they're doing, is they're excluding Call of Duty from the offers that are going to be offered there. Secondly, they've had a huge resurgence of people just wanting to cancel their Games Pass all the way together because of the price increase. So Microsoft overall actually is killing it, even though they haven't killed it inside this market thing as of June 30th, 2024 and October 7th, 2025. The liabilities, the ending quarter of June was $268 billion for the quarter is what they drug in. And then in October 2025, it's $392 trillion, $392 trillion. And let me get over to the screen so I can show you guys that. So, I'm not just pulling numbers out of thin air and lying to you guys. This is your capital metrics that's going to be happening. Their net worth depends on the metric used, but the most common metric for the capitalization, which is approximate 392 million as of October 7th, 2025. Right there is where we come up that it's the net worth with the shareholders' equity, the difference metrics calculated for assets minus liabilities, with reports figured in the quarter ending of the 2024 quarter right there. $268 billion is what they did that last quarter there. And $392 trillion for Microsoft overall. It's just a drop in the hat for them to have innovation, to have different things go through their consoles. Now, one of the biggest things that we have got to address is under Xbox. Like, if you see how you've got these nice little tiers, they're not talking about the handheld that they're going to be coming out with. Let's head right back over to Xbox, because I believe it was on their main page here. They had it popped up just a little bit ago with their handheld, the Ally, the ROG Ally. So they've canceled some of the pre-orders for this, and they've also given some money back under the pre-orders of this in certain countries, because the buy-in shares, which I do believe is 10 million for the handheld right here. Microsoft dedicated handheld was reportedly canceled because of AMD requiring a minimum of 10 million order units for custom chip, a commitment Microsoft didn't want to make given the lower sales of competing devices like the Stream Deck, while Microsoft has confirmed it's investing in first-party hardware, including next-generation consoles and devices. The cancellation of this specific handheld device comes amidst rumors of potential shifts in Xbox hardware strategy. Well, there is definitely an Xbox hardware strategy. I think it's a good move, and it's a bad move on Xbox for a couple of reasons. The first reason is, one, I mean, if we're really going to talk about it, we need to bring it 100% fully back to you. Here's the big deal. So they're wanting a $10 million investment. Well, let's say it's $1 billion investment is what AMD is asking for, with the 10 million units being sold. That would give Microsoft over the next year to year and a half to build enough supply, not only to meet the demand, but also to meet repairs for the console if it came forward in the future with different products. I think where Microsoft is coming in as a whole is they're thinking that they can develop by themselves and be less risk into the market for the new console to come out. However, this does come at a price, because Microsoft is going to have to hire new engineers. They're going to have to dedicate people specifically to the chipset. They're going to have to dedicate people directly to the console, which is nothing new. I mean, they do that for every console that comes out, but they're going to be spending more money over time, thinking that they're going to be doing it cheaper than what they're actually going to be doing. And I think that the stance that they're taking is the ongoing investment, which remains active active over first party consoles and devices. Xbox is not really the top dog right now, even though their sales for the games that they've got is through the roof right now. And as you saw, that the $368 trillion, that's 198 trillion dollars is due directly to the gaming industry and the market that they provided from Xbox Marketplace. So they're definitely in the position to where they could do hardware, and they could do hardware by themselves, and they could also build the software for the base, just as they've done with every other thing, and hold it. It's just a matter of risk versus liability, or asset versus liability. Is it going to be an asset for them to move forward in this market, especially with them investing so heavily into AMD? I think the problem is within 2 to 3 years, handheld consoles go out. I mean, we've seen it with Nintendo, the Game Boy, the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, the DS, the 3DS. The market is constantly shifting and changing for the generation that wants to play these consoles, and kids slowly over time lose interest inside of handheld consoles, even though they had some really good ideas. The Switch 2. There's a lot of people who have lost playability with those consoles over time because of the way the market shifts and different. I mean, competition is good for everybody. Let's just call it what it is. Competition is good for everybody. And the reason I bring that up is because PlayStation Vita was definitely a really good competition for the Steam Deck. Steam Deck is really good competition for the 3DS, so on and so forth. You see where I'm going with that? And so games that are only available on PlayStation, people will buy that console specifically for the PlayStation games. But then after they're done playing it, is there anything else on that console that will keep them coming back to it? I think that that's really the market that we've missed inside the handheld console market. Microsoft is totally missing this ball, because they have the ability not only to give them licensing for the software and to port these games over to that console, the ROG, and anything else that they do handheld wise, but they also have the ability to build new infrastructure and new games for this console and to make it viable for them in time. So Microsoft is kind of, I guess they're playing softball, and they're not really giving us, the consumer, the answers that we want. But you got to think too, the innovation process right now is so deep that they are not innovating anything. They've been so deep into trying to develop this handheld console that they've completely stopped on the other front of developing and reiterating and making sure their updates for their older consoles are still moving forward, and games and stuff for the older consoles are being secured and being able to be played. And I was talking about it with my wife earlier. I think one of the biggest mistakes that they're missing on these generations is we'll go back to when they shut down the Xbox 360 store. Now, there's a couple reasons why I keep bringing this point up. One of them is because I believe it should have transitioned. Everything that was on the 360 store should have transitioned over to the Xbox One or the Xbox Series X, and the licensing and everything that was already settled and in place for the Xbox 360 and all those games that were being sold should have been settled on that console and also transferred over to the new consoles. So for those people that are coming into Xbox that still want to go back and play those older games and have the licensing, and if they bought anything, which they do, if they've already bought it, it stays on their profile or on their profile forever until they get a new profile or a new console, until they have to re-download that stuff and transfer the license and all that. But with that being said, there's games that you can't get anymore at all whatsoever, been completely taken off the marketplace, and you can't find them anywhere. You can backdoor kind of into the old marketplace and see it, but you can't purchase anything through the Xbox 360 store. And I think that the entire 360 store, everything, the avatars, everything should have been transferred over to the Xbox One and the Xbox Series S and Series X. I think that was a big money loss that they made, because you've got people that grew up with the original Xbox, and the original Xbox is no exception either. I think that the original Xbox Live insignia is really done a great job trying to put the original Xbox Live back together and keeping that console alive in this generation. 2025, playing the original Xbox is awesome with insignia. You guys should check it out. I'm giving y'all a huge shout out right now, insignia, for those of y'all that don't know. But with that being said, I think that the original Xbox Live store, all the games that were originally purchased for the Xbox Live, all the downloads, all the extra content that you purchased directly through the original Xbox store should transfer directly over to the new consoles as well. I really believe that. I believe that with all my heart, everything that you purchase should follow suit for the rest of your life under your profile. And that even goes as far as like EA. You know, if you have an EA account and you log into your EA account, if you had Sims 2, Sims 3, Sims 4, it should transfer onto every console under your EA account that you've got because you've already got the account. Instead of having to purchase brand new games for that console, you already have those games already ready in your EA account and that are able to transfer over. Now, I understand that what I'm asking you is a big ask, and some games will have to be emulated based upon the hardware that's available. I do understand that. I understand that we're talking a dedication, but let's say it's a $5 upgrade to get that emulation. I think most people would be willing to pay the $5 so that they can keep their games, but also be able to play them in emulation or through a console in a console. And that's the other thing that brings me to this is Xbox completely got whipped until basically the last quarter of the life cycle of the Xbox 360, and they're getting completely whipped right now in the Xbox One, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series X generation of consoles with PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. They're getting absolutely whooped. They're getting mollywopped as far as it goes. And if you want to continue to be viable in a Microsoft has to do several things to be more consumer friendly. The first one is, you know, I know this is it's gonna cause the price of hardware to go up, but you need to do system inside of a system. Now, you've done this good with emulation. You've done it good with the Xbox 360 as far as different games for the Xbox 360 being added and backwards compatible under the Xbox One era, under the Xbox Series S and Series SX era, but you need to make it completely backwards compatible all the way to the original Xbox. All your discs should work from the original Xbox forward, because I still have original Xbox discs. I still have 360 discs. I still have Xbox One disc. I've got some Series S discs. I've also got Series X discs, sorry. But, you know, I've got everything that you can imagine, and I can only play them on native hardware or under my 360 under the emulation hardware from the 360. You already had the availability to do emulation of those games with an original Xbox hardware hard drive. So as long as you have the hard drive, you should be able to do full emulation, backwards compatibility of the entire catalog from the original Xbox forward. I think that would be a huge thing to gamers, because then they don't feel like they've wasted money. They don't feel like they've got to trade these games out every 6 months or a year or 2 years. And that's really what we've got going on in the resale market right now. Is the resale market is going in the effect of, if you purchase a game currently, some of the licensing and stuff for some of these games have been completely ripped. You're not able to play these games after they've been purchased the first time. And I don't really, and look, I don't really think that that's the right way to go. Nintendo is moving forward in this direction, and everybody has decided to follow suit. PlayStation 5 and Xbox both have decided to follow suit with some of this stuff. I don't agree with that. I think that physical hardware and physical media is your media once you purchase it, and I do believe that it should be your right to sell that physical media at any time, even the licensing for it. And I understand where you're coming from. If you have a secondary reseller like myself, who will go out here and purchase stuff from a secondhand shop, the second time it's sold, you don't make any of the licensing fee on that. I get that 100%. But if a game is 15 years old and I want to resell that game, then it should be my prerogative to resell that game without having to have any problems. Also, it should be my prerogative to play that game on anything that I own with your name on it. Now, I do understand that we're asking a big ask here, because system inside of a system or chip inside of a system is extremely expensive to produce. It really is. And so the cost of hardware would go up a little bit, but people would be willing to pay a little bit extra to have system inside of a chip or system inside of a system inside of hardware, instead of what we've got currently. They would like to have a full catalog of backwards compatibility, a full catalog to where they could use it for original Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox X, Xbox S. They want to be able to use everything all the way back. If you put a disc in, it should be able to read it and play it no matter what without being appropriate for the catalog. It should be the entire catalog. You own the entire catalog. You might have to get some licensing for stuff, but if you can get the original licensing for you own the patents for the original Xbox. You own the patents for the 360. You own the patents for the Xbox One. It should not be that hard to do system inside of a chip for you guys. And it would cost the price of hardware to go up. I do understand that for your next console moving forward. However, I think people would be more willing to adapt to that and pay to that because they're not having to respend money on the physical media that they've already got, and they're not losing any benefits of the physical media that they've already got. And so it would add an extra bonus for them to have that. That's just another jump in the box here. Now, and that all started with the AMD stuff that we were talking about. So, the 10 million units for what AMD is asking them for, the $1 billion investment that AMD is asking for them to do the system on a chip for the handheld console. That's not really a major ask for them for Microsoft, especially being $392 billion in the positive just recently with this quarter. It would be a bigger investment for Microsoft to go ahead and say, you know what, we need to put this on our next console. We need to make this for our loyal fan base, our loyal viewers, each and everybody that wants to come out there and have a good time with us. It should be for them directly as well. So, we as the consumer need to be able to speak on that with the ongoing investments that they're doing as well. We also need to be able to speak on what we like and what we don't like. I believe that some of the games that are coming back, some of the deals that are coming back, like the NIL deal with the NCAA opening up for NCAA football, was a spectacular move. But I'd like to see it go to baseball again. I'd like to see MVP baseball come back for college baseball. I'd also like to see NCAA March Madness come back from EA. I'd like to see some stuff like that come back into the marketplace for Xbox and for EA and for some other companies so that we were able to play those games and not have any problems with it. I think the ongoing investment that Microsoft is going to have to make over the next 10 years is going to be $10 billion in order to be viable, in order to do that, in order to sell the console with the prices going up, like I was talking about. So if the new hardware comes out at $600, you've kind of almost outpriced your you've almost outpriced the average Joe that can buy it, right? But the benefits of having that console would be so great that you would not lose any of your current fan base. Actually, your current fan base would probably invest heavily into it so that they could go and repurchase the older games that they wanted to play. Something else that Xbox could do is there's a lot of people who are modding games, like NFL 2K5. It's got a complete source of modding that's going on for it to revamp it into the new era of 2025 and beyond, to update your rosters, update the jerseys, update the stadiums, update the Super Bowl, update your graphics. You could do that with NFL 2K5. You got the disc, burn it to the hard drive, be able to have that add on to your hard drive, and then sell the mod. Get these people involved back into gaming again the way that they need to be, instead of just making them do it illegally off GitHub. Let them make money on this stuff. That you could sell the updates for this stuff for $5 or $6 to have the updated version of NFL 2K5 and have it revamped for 2024, 2025, and each year come out with new jerseys, new logos, new everything, and have it marketed through the NFL and have the NFL make money on it too. I mean, I don't see what the big deal is by relicensing yourself. Now, I understand the license with the NFL. I know that's a big deal for having that license out there, but you could get that license and do it and make money on it and have them make money on it and license it for whatever, $6, $7 to have it revamped every year and to have the mod updated every year for your current game. I think that that's a smart and viable way that Microsoft could be making money in the future, as long as they try to make sure that they're taking care of their loyal fan base as well as everybody else. I think the bad move, which we talked about the other day for them with the price hikes and price upgrades for hardware and also for Games Pass, is you're going to have a lot of people who are canceling their subscriptions because it's unaffordable for them now. You got to think there's a lot of people right now that are struggling just to have ends meet. They're struggling to make money. They're struggling to pay their bills. They're struggling to do everything. So by you raising your prices for Games Pass, by you raising your prices on each and every game, it's actually becoming more affordable for people just to buy the game than it is for them to pay for Games Pass. So they can pay $70 for the game and own it for a lifetime versus doing Games Pass for $30 a month. And that's 3 times 12 is what? 120 or sorry, I've lost myself here. It's 42, so $420 a year. basically is what you're going to be going for. I mean, it doesn't make no sense. Doesn't make no sense to do that. My Steiner math is not working today, guys. If you're wondering, but guys, I mean, it really would be a better product for them right now to it'd be a better product for them right now to invest in everybody that's on the modding scene and modding community and to invest in new hardware than it would be to go the route that they're going right now. The innovation on this console has not really sold really good. Also, secondly, moving forward, Microsoft is also in the news. Boom, for their Windows 10 updates. So in 2025, Microsoft is addressing millions of issues related to the end of free support for Windows 10, including concerns from a letter signed by hundreds of businesses and advocacy groups that there is no information in the search results about the specific 10 million AMD issue scenario. However, AMD could refer to administrative issues that have affected users this year. The situation will end free security support for Microsoft 10 on October 14th. So just in a couple days, 2025. This leaves millions of computers vulnerable to security risk unless users pay for extended support upgrades to Windows 11. So you'd have to upgrade to Windows 11 in order to get that security support. As of September 2025, 40% of all Windows devices were still running on Windows 10. The hardware requirements for Windows 11 prevent an estimated 400 million computers from upgrading for free, forcing users to pay or replace their devices. Public backlash in October 2025, a coalition of repair businesses and environmental groups sent letters to Microsoft urging the company to provide free security updates for Windows 10 devices. They cited concerns over increased electronic waste and financial burden to customers. In August 2025, Microsoft offered some Windows 10 users for a free year of extended support. Started some of this. AMD is most likely the red product. From the search results of 2025, Microsoft has addressed several significant administrative vulnerabilities and outages. The criteria of intra of ID flaw in July of 2025, a security research discovered entry data, the formerly Azure AD identified platform. The flaw could have granted administrative access to nearly all Azure customer accounts globally and legacy protocols. Via the legacy protocols, Microsoft released a global fix within days of this ongoing. So, I mean, they've come under fire under their support for Windows 10 as well. So, Microsoft is not really having a whole lot of success here as of recent, and they've got a lot of layoffs going on, a lot of other issues that are going on to try to keep them in the forefront here. But they've got to start fixing problems that they can fix and move forward with what they can move forward. Now, guys, I mean, I've rambled for about 32 minutes here. I think each and every one of you, I think it's the time where we're going to end. But before we go, I want to let each and every one of you guys know that if you like what you saw here today and you like anything that you heard, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button right there on Twitch, twitch.tv/RabbitBeaver, Nerdy Gaming with Rabbit 132 at YouTube, Joseph DH right there on the Facebook Live, or anywhere else that you catch us, rumble.com/RabbitBeaver. Any of those sites that you get this stuff, I'd love to have you guys. And don't forget, if you like what you saw, go ahead and scan that QR code and get you some Nerdy Gaming with Rabbit Beaver merch or Wrestle Talk with Rabbit Beaver merch. Hey, we're going to have some Wrestle Talk tonight. We're going to be coming back for a few minutes. Around 8 p.m. and we're going to be doing a short little show, and then we're going to be hopping on River City Media tonight to be joining the boys over there as well. So come on in and let's have a good time tonight right here on Wrestle Talk with the Rabbit Beaver and Nerdy Gaming with the Rabbit Beaver. Hey, and remember, guys, stay nerdy, stay gaming, and have a lot of fun. Y'all be safe. Have a good evening. Bye-bye, guys.